Good morning or good afternoon, depending on when you are watching this video. I am using this video to show you, to give you a presentation of things that I have done in my 7th and 8th grade composition classes this year, special ed classes, with technology. The first thing you're looking at here is called Screencast-O-Matic. This is how I am creating this video. I do have an option to use a webcam to show a little picture of myself down in the corner, but I am choosing to have you focus on the things that I am showing you, so I am not including that on here. So Screencast-O-Matic is the way that I am recording this, and I am going to show you my main platform in my classroom, which is Edmodo. So we're going to log in here now, so that you see exactly what my students see every day. My students have started using Edmodo back in August of last year, and they are very familiar with how to get into it, how to use it, what kinds of things we do in here, all those things. And this is my platform for everything. So while I am on medical leave, I am still instructing my students, so they are listening to me teach to them every day because of Screencast-O-Matic. And so let me start with that. I think that's a good place to start. Let me show you a little bit of a video that I created for my class and kind of walk you through what my students see in a typical lesson through Screencast-O-Matic. So they will click on a link on their in the Edmodo composition class, and it'll pop up like this, and then it will talk to them just like you have done with this video yourself. I'm just going to give you a 30 seconds of this so that you can get a feel for how I'm teaching, and then I will go into more detail about other things related to what I've done this year in my composition class. So here we go. Good morning. It is May 15th, 2016. Today we're going to start talking about dialogue, and we're getting closer and closer to you writing your own story. So hopefully thinking about your characters, your setting, your plot, your theme, and your conflict. All 5 parts need to be in your story. That is one of the things that you are going to be graded on. But one of the other things that you need is you need to have good dialogue for your character. So today our content objective is that students will be able to understand how dialogue works in a story, and our language objective is that students will be able to write dialogue in a story. So you're going to have an experience where you get to write a little bit of dialogue just as some practice and to prove that you know how dialogue works. So here is we're going to go through some examples. So then the video went on with examples and walked them through it, and then at the end of that video, near the end of the video, then I went back and discussed, did we meet our content and language objective, which is what I do every day in my class when I am live, so to speak, in there. But things that are part of what students expect in my classroom. Now, if I were teaching, obviously it wouldn't be a single monologue discussion, but for the purposes of my leave, I wanted the instruction to come from me. It is definitely a stress reducer, and so I needed to have that as my basis. So they started out by watching that dialogue exchange, and then they had an assignment, which was to write the dialogue exchange between people. And as they went through, here was more information. Now, I did go through all this stuff in my video as well, but what the students can also do in my class, many of them have struggled very much with writing. So there are lots and lots of wonderful apps on Chrome. And so one of the most common ones that we use is Speakit. So they highlight.
Write a dialogue exchange between 2 of the following people: teacher and student, 2 friends, 2 teachers, a teacher and a principal, a parent and a child. Remember to include the names of the people. Every time the other person talks, it starts a new paragraph. For example, Mrs. Johnson, I need to see you in my office after this class, Mr. Young announced from the doorway. Mrs. Johnson looked up from Amy's computer. What did I do this time? She asked. We'll talk about it when you come to see me. Mr. Young folded his arms across his chest. I think I know what you were going to say, but I didn't do it. MRS, Johnson added quickly. We'll see about that. He added and swiftly left the room. This is a quick dialogue exchange.
So
But it
again,
does increase the conflict that is underlying in the story. Now it is your turn.
okay, and so that is something, again, the students have at their fingertips to use so that they can help themselves to understand what is going on, and they can continuously, they can highlight and right click and figure it out, listen to it again and again as much as they need to. So, that is one of the things that we do. The other thing is, so every other day here is a video, and then I have files. Sometimes they need worksheets to help them do things. And so my sub, Mr. Hutchinson, has all these materials on his desk, so to speak, or on my desk to use, but the kids can also look at them here. Sometimes students lose worksheets, and so in an ideal world, and which is where I know Marshalltown schools are headed, the students will need to do things at home. And so, using a place like Edmodo gives the kids a place to put these worksheets so that they have them at home if they need them and they didn't bring them home. So that is one of the big things here, is this Edmodo as my platform. What else is great about Edmodo is not only do the kids, it's everything is at the kids' fingertips. So anything the kids could possibly need for us is here. I have, throughout the year, I have done quizzes here. I have done assignments. I have done links to other things. We have folders that have other materials, teacher notes. Occasionally through the year, I've had them go, to these other places and get materials. Another great thing about Edmodo is that because I can grade on Edmodo, and I'm going to show you this here as it's loading. I can grade in Edmodo, and it gives me these grades which aren't really accurate because there's a lot of other things that are included. But so I can export this, and when I export it, it turns it into an Excel document. But let me go back and show you some of these great things with Edmodo that are here. So if I click on, again, I'm looking at this from teacher point of view. If I were looking at it from student point of view, then obviously it would look somewhat different. But because it's in teacher point of view, this is showing me all of the students in blue who are done with their assignment. So, and I don't remember what the assignment was that required this, but there was, I guess I asked for an opinion based on the assignment. But I can give the students a grade, whatever out of whatever, and click it, and then that will save it back in that progress area we were in. And so it gives them feedback. And I can be doing this. I have practiced this school year. I've brought in my own Chromebook and walked around the classroom. I think it would be awesome with some type of tablet, but I have walked around with my own Chromebook and done things instantaneously as students have finished so that they get that immediate feedback. I think that's very important. A lot of things on Edmodo, like when I give a quiz, they are already there. They will get that instant feedback, and if I go down far enough, I can show you some of that, but there are those things there as well. Another thing that is great about Edmodo is scheduling assignments. Prior to the start of my leave, I put in all of the assignments that I needed for the rest of the school year, and so it's all here. This is what's scheduled. So these will come out on these days at these times, and then they will be ready to go for the kids on those days. So this is one of the great things about what I'm doing with Edmodo. But Edmodo isn't the end. This is their platform. What else I use for my is a website called Penzu, and this is Penzu is technically a journaling site, but what I have grown to love about Penzu is that it's more than journaling. I never truly ask the kids to do a lot of journaling. What I do here, though, is I have the kids write. And so this is where the kids write their actual essays. This was, no, the students did not have a Google Drive in August, and I wanted to start off August 1st with an assignment. So this was a 5-paragraph essay that my students worked on. It took us about 3 weeks to work on this. We included some true, some actual sources, and we talked about formatting. This is a 7th grader's assignment. Still needs some work, but overall not too bad. I have very high expectations for my students, so they do a lot of writing every day in my class, and so they are aware of my expectations. And so this is where major assignments go, is into Penzu. Edmodo, when I have them turn in an assignment, it's a minor thing, or it's a quiz, or it's a poll, things that aren't too major. When the kids do their stories, which is what they're working on developing at this point, that will also go into Penzu. And so what's great about Penzu also is that there's lots of tools for me as the teacher. So I can click on, I can click on grade and change a grade. I can click on, I can highlight something and say, I want to make a comment about this, and this pops up, and then I can type in a comment and click insert, and then so if, for example, let's say I said needs capital, which it doesn't, but just for the purposes of showing you this, and then it highlights it, and then the student can toggle over it, and it says, oh, it needs capital. Okay. So, and I'm going to change that, because whatever you change, you don't have to save. It does it. So I need to go back and erase this, because that's not true, and update. But, so, and so, all right. And of course the yellow is not going to leave at any rate. Technology is wonderful. Another thing that I have done this year is I've started using EduCanon, which is what you're looking at here. And this is a video off of TeacherTube, actually off of Flow Vocabulary. And if you're familiar with that site, they do a lot of great things throughout the video, and I'm not going to play the video. It stops the video every so often, and it asks the students a question. These are the questions I have created. And if the students have to answer the question before the video will move on. The students can go back, but they can't go forward until they answer the question. So it's really a good way to make sure the students are paying attention to the video. Another website that I have used this year is ClassMarker. Now I have used quizzes on Edmodo, but I also have used tests here, because this gives me more. So if I go into one of my tests, this gives me more statistics, and I really like the statistics, because then I can see what I need, what I'm lacking. So in this case, if I click here, and this was a pre-test on adjectives and adverbs, and so if I look at this, I can quickly see who's really struggling with this. And so if I look here, I can click on the answers and say, okay, got a 25%. Why? What's he looking at? What's he getting wrong? So we can go through that kind of thing and see where he's at. So those are all the things in a nutshell that I have used this year with my technology. I really have embraced the technology, and I feel very prepared for what's coming with the Chromebooks next year. I wanted to give you an update, as I do have a mini computer lab in my room, and I'm very proud of it, and I work with it. My students work with it every day. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and if you have any questions, please ask. I know there's a few things here and there that I haven't really covered very well in detail, so I'm sure there might be questions, so please ask, and thanks for watching.